Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve Ramona and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona.
One. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am super fired up today to have you join us because when I have a guest on that's become a really good friend and we know each other so well, it just makes for a great podcast. But even better, it gives you motivation, education, and inspiration to better your life, whether it's in business or your personal life. And that's why we dedicated this podcast to explore an idea how to do Servant's Heart, that purpose and what impact you'll make. And this is going to be a unique impact we're going to talk about today, but it's something, it's kind of in the shadows that people don't talk about, but we're going to talk about it today because that's what I like to do. And while you're listening to this show today, here's your call to action, audience. I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and others today and what impact you're going to create today. Again, the key word there is today, because I still talk to people. I haven't served somebody yet. How do I do it? How long has it been? It's been weeks. Do it today. Listen to this incredible podcast and go out and think of a way to serve somebody. You got to be intentional about it. It just doesn't knock on your door. You knock on the door. I just made that up. That's pretty good. God, I'm so humble. I want to thank my sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. I want you to think about joining a community of high-income entrepreneurs and business leaders who are creating a world-changing thought leader platform to grow theirs and your business, but more importantly, to make an impact and difference in the world. For more information on Pantheon Alliance, reach out to me and I'll get you all that information. Dating. I'm so thank God I got a beautiful wife, great wife. I don't need to date anymore. I was single and lived alone for 30 years. And I didn't realize, so I got married and met my wonderful guest, how important it is to have somebody by your side. With that being said, let's get her on. Arlene Washburn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and I feel like I've known you for a million years.
Sister from another mother, absolutely. Something you taught me when I first met you was the importance, is probably the word that comes to my head, of your social life, your personal life, and your business life. We just talked about it earlier about that bridge. There's no balance. But you help on not you personally, but you help matchmakers help people in business have a better dating experience, correct?
Absolutely. I think that often when people are starting a business or running a business or doing anything of importance, they think that having a relationship is mutually exclusive. And the fact is not. But if you really don't have the time and energy to go out and seek that person for yourself, there's nothing better than a matchmaker, because it's like outsourcing your love life to someone that can do all the vetting for you and, really hone in on what you're looking for and only bring forward qualified people to meet you. And it's a beautiful thing. It has been somewhat cost prohibitive for many, many years. And I think it's becoming more and more affordable and more mainstream. And that's why I went into the business of training other practitioners, because I think we need more matchmakers.
Yeah. So no more swiping left or right. That's probably a good thing for me. My finger will get sore. No, that's good. Very good. I love the fact that you teach this and that's affordable, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs on here starting businesses or short in their business journey. Talk about the negative side of not having that significant other on your side.
Yeah, so they've done a lot of research and studies on this. Harvard has an ongoing study about what makes for happiness. And often it has to do with, and not often, 100% it is the relationships that you make. Now, it could be any great relationships that you make, but the significant other being highly significant, right? Because if you choose the wrong partner, that could be either 90% of what makes you happy or 90% of what ruins your life. A partner is very, very connected in more ways than people realize. For example, your partner can regulate your blood pressure. People who are happily involved with someone, not necessarily marriage, but happily involved with a partner, uh, grow old with less pain, healthier, live longer. And all of these things have come out of these studies that show the importance of having a partner. And I don't think humans were meant to be alone.
Yeah. COVID taught that's for sure. One of our biggest lessons, besides all the other, 2008 stock market, the 21 depression, all that. You teach matchmakers, which I love. You're the expert because you're a mentor. I love that better word is mentor. What are some of the misconceptions that people come in that want to be a matchmaker have with matchmaking?
The biggest misconception about hiring a matchmaker is that they can guarantee that you are going to meet someone to get married with. Their job is not that. Their job is to qualify the people who come forward and that are introduced to you based on a set of criteria that you both agreed upon. They've done the vetting, they've done background checks and all the things to bring forward those folks. Now, there's always the possibility that you can meet your perfect match and you might be in your own way. You might screw it up or they might screw it up. I mean, matchmakers are not responsible. Do they introduce a lot of people who get married and go on to have children and happy lives? Yes, because their job is to bring forward the qualified people. Now, the rest, the relationship part, that's all on you. So I think that's one big misconception. And often you'll hear people say, well, what's your success rate? What is success to you? Right.
Yeah.
So, I think that's number one misconception.
I love the success rate because for a man, it might be, hey, I just want to date multiple women, enjoy different women, a different gender, not gender, but different cultures and things like that. And that's his life. If that's what Joe Smith wants to do, it's great. That's what you do. So you customize this matchmaking to that person.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, the folks that hire matchmakers are looking for a committed relationship, not always marriage, but typically for a committed relationship because it's a pretty heavy investment that is totally worth it. I can tell you, I had one gentleman who hired me when I was a matchmaker, and he only met this woman. She only met him. She got married for the first time at the age of 60, and that was it. And till this day, they've been together maybe 10 years. I don't remember. And we'll run into each other. And he's like, this is the best money I ever invested. He only met one person and got married. So
wow, what a great story.
It's about it's
not
quantity, it's the quality.
Quality. And so matchmaking really has that feel of I'm super busy, male or female. That's why it comes in with the more successful business people because they're busy. They're working, building multi-million-dollar businesses, and they don't have time to date. They can't go on 10 dates a week. Do you spare that down and qualify? Give me a list of 3 or 4, and then I pick and choose which one would be a good fit for me to go on a date?
Yeah. So typically, and I just want to add, it's not just for the busy professionals or affluent C-suite, all that obviously they all benefit from that. But people who are divorced, who have children every other week and have to coordinate schedules, the matchmakers literally will coordinate your schedule with the match that they're going to introduce to you. They even have concierge services that set up the date. So all you have to do is show up. I mean, you're really paying for a service from soup to nuts. Some matchmakers will actually have the different type of concierge service where they'll send flowers and do whatever, chocolates and things like that. So it's very much a service in that way. Now, in terms of how you meet people, it all depends. Everybody has different methods, but typically you'll get 1 to 2, maybe 4 matches per month. But remember, for every one person that you meet, perhaps the matchmaker has met 20 people, interviewed them to see if they're qualified, and they're not. And, they just keep it moving until they find that person. And then they ensure that that person also feels like you're someone they want to meet, because otherwise it's a waste of everybody's time to set up a date and go through all the machinations
Yep.
if it's not going to be a good match.
So I'm going to say this, it might be controversial. You're awesome. You will probably won't be, but I can go pay for an app. It's $9.99 a month and do the swipe left and right on my own. My probabilities are a lot lower than coming in with you're teaching a matchmaker who's working with me. It's more high quality. It's more work is involved. That's why it's a little more expensive.
And look, Steve, there's a lot of people who have met online. Full disclosure, I met my husband on Match many years ago. It was a very different environment online. Nowadays, we have thousands of apps. I know I've consulted for several of them. And with thousands of apps, we have a loneliness epidemic. So clearly that's not working. There are people who are online corresponding for a year and never meeting. There are people who are corresponding with someone for a month and they're sending money to and being catfished. There's a lot of different things. There's some safety concerns that people, if they don't do online dating the right way. With matchmaking, those things go away in the sense that we verify, the matchmakers will verify that you are who you say you are. Typically we'll do, a basic background check, interview the individual, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a different quality. I always say you're working with a human, not with an algorithm.
I love this because, as you're talking and talking about this, having all that qualification, you're like cybersecurity for the internet. You're cybersecurity for the matchmaker. That person's looking for a match. Audience, I can't get any better than that. That is like mic drop. Because catfishing, I had a lady on my show, Vicki Montgomery Johnson, who got catfished for $1.5 million. And now she's got a nonprofit helping. I think I've even connected you with her, but I have. Yeah. But I want to talk about this because you have a huge opportunity here. And this is why I love her audience to death. She teaches you interested in doing work in matchmaking. Talk about how you do that. If I came in to your academy, what am I going to learn? What am I going to get from that?
Well, I follow a science-based approach to putting people together. That's the matchmaking side. But there's also processes, business acumen. Often the folks that go into matchmaking choose it as a second career. And typically they're coming from the corporate world. And coming from corporate or having a job into owning your own business, it's a whole different ball game. And so you have to learn all the things about the marketing, the sales, all the things that go into owning a business, running a business, using technology appropriately to streamline your processes and embracing it. We try to do that in the best possible way, as well as handling clients, handling difficult clients and difficult conversations, which comes up quite often in this industry because of the fact that it's a highly emotional experience. And so people sometimes feel rejected. And then if they don't have anybody to take it out on, they might lash out at their matchmakers. So it's important for the matchmakers to have really good listening skills and knowing how to handle the fact that it's really not about them. It's really more of what the person's going through. So those are the kind of things that we teach. My program is 1 year for a new matchmaker. I know there are other programs out there that are very quick. And I always tell people quick is just going to create more problems for you when you own the business and you get yourself into trouble, etc. And there's a big focus on ethics and compliance, making sure you're following laws and things that are not, to keep you out of trouble.
Right. Navy SEALs have a phrase I just learned. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking that year smoothly. Excuse me. So what I'm also hearing, which I didn't think about this. So I work at Apple 8 to 5 and I'm looking for more income. I can join your academy. You can teach me, educate me, be the matchmaker. And I could do that 10 hours a week, 20 hours and supplement my income.
Ideally.
Or is it more?
Yeah, matchmaking is a full-time game. I mean,
okay.
I think people can start depending on the, how many clients they have. It is a juggling act, and it's funny because people think it's easy. Well, if you think about someone like yourself, you went 30 years, not having someone in your life, and then you hire a matchmaker and you invest a significant amount of money. And within 6 months, your goal is to get into a relationship, a meaningful relationship, not just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. That takes a lot of energy and effort. So matchmakers are consistently growing their database, because the database is as good as today. And then somebody goes into a relationship, that person in your database is no longer there. So constantly growing that, constantly, creating visibility so that people know about them, staying up in their game. I'm a big believer that anyone in any profession, particularly matchmaking, should always be learning. You don't learn, you don't set it and forget it in business, and you always have to be learning. So there's always courses that you can be taking to get better at what you do. But it is a tough business, but it's also very fulfilling. It's fulfilling, and it's also lucrative, I will say.
Well, the story you told us earlier, I could tell in your face and voice how proud you are that happened. 6 years ago, got married, and 10 years later is still married. What people listening going, man, this matchmaking sounds really cool. I got to talk to Arlene. Is there a particular skill set that's important, or is it just come in? I'm going to teach you everything. Really, anybody can do this.
I think anybody can learn anything. The key
Okay.
is to I interview everyone. I don't just accept everyone into the school. We're trying to weed out any highly narcissistic people. I know successful people tend to have a little narcissism, and we all have narcissistic traits.
Yeah.
But if you are going to be handling clients, you have to have the finesse for that. Also, if you're just going to sit at home and not put the energy and effort, like when you have your own business, you have to be self-propelled. You have to want it. You have to have a good why, and that will keep you focused, because it requires a lot of energy to build a business and to stick with it. Same with, like, if you choose a marketing vehicle, you
Yep.
need to stick with it long enough for it to have some success. And if you're one of those people who gives up quickly, that's going to be tough. And then also, if you're a really negative, fixed mindset person, I don't think you would be ideal for matchmaking, because you have to be very mindset when it comes to matchmaking, dealing with all the different personalities and being open to constantly learning, because this stuff keeps evolving every day.
A lot of emotion involved too.
Mm-hmm.
Is there more? How many? Is there more female or male matchmakers that you work with? I'm just curious. That's a curious question.
Yeah, I mean, there are men in the industry, but it tends to skew women,
Okay.
more women in this. And quite frankly, I think it's an opportunity. I think we need more men in the industry. Yeah. So there's people from all walks of life, all different backgrounds and ethnicities, and matchmakers also tend to specialize, which makes them so much better. It's kind of like you can go to a general practitioner, or you can go to a specialist. And so if you're looking for a specific ethnicity or religion, you're better off going to the specialist than the generalist. So
Yeah.
when you see these matchmakers who want to be everything to everyone, they tend to dilute their services and not be as good as someone who specializes.
And what you do too is, our audience need to hear this. This may sound defeating it a little bit, but it's business in a box. She's going to teach you everything about the business. By the way, think of write-offs. When you have your own business, there's write-offs involved. That's why I think if you're interested, men, reach out and tell her my name, and you know what? I'm going to do this. You reach out to me. If you sign up with her program, I'm going to take care of it. I don't know how, but you reach out to me, because if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I think I could do this, because I love when people get together. I think it's just magical. And I've told you this, what you do is so incredibly awesome. It's probably bad English, but that's
Steve, you are a matchmaker. You just don't put people together for love, but you are a super connector. Yeah,
that's true.
what we do different, not to harp on the school thing, not because I'm trying to pitch it, but it's very different because I went through training with other systems, and they just didn't work for me, and they don't work for a lot of people who end up coming to me. And that's kind of like a done with you type training. So it's a 1-year program for newbies. They go from zero business to creating a business within 6 months, with website, everything, marketing, their processes, their operating, standard operating procedures, etc. And then from 6 months to a year, they get clients. They're working with the clients with the support of someone like me who knows how to navigate a lot of the things that will come up during that time. So they have more confidence, and they're not giving away their services for free, which sometimes I see people do, like, well, I'm new, I'm just going to do it for free. I'm like, you go to medical school and you graduate, you don't go work for free as a doctor unless you want to volunteer.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they have a lot of support in this program, which makes me feel good about it.
No, I love that. That's the power of, because SOPs are the most important thing in any business. And you're giving them, it's proven, it works. You've done it and other people are doing it successfully. When it's proven, the SOP is just magical. Yeah. Ethics is so, and compliance is so big to you, which I love about this. How do you make sure that these matchmakers you're teaching are staying ethical and compliant?
Well, I'm on an alert with most of the organizations like the FTC, which is huge. You know, the Federal Trade Commission is generally the area where we would have to worry about like how people market themselves and the things that they say that goes against the law. And that's the thing about ethics and compliance, is also treating your clients well. That's why I love what you do, you know, with the servant's heart and caring about people. Well, this is a business where you're caring about people. If you're going into it just for the money, and yeah, you'll make a lot of money as a matchmaker, but if that's why you're doing it, you're probably not going to be as successful and you're going to run into problems, right? Because there's a lot of work involved. But the ethics is making sure your clients are treated well. And we've developed a whole standard code of conduct for matchmakers. And a lot of the standards in there tie into the laws. And these are not just US laws, globally. So a lot of what we say in there, we've been looking up all the laws of all the different major countries. And typically what happens here kind of spreads out around the world, you know? So
we lead the pack.
Yeah. So it's just keeping, and it's for their own good. It's like, so your business stays out of trouble. You're treating your clients the right way, and everybody wins and everybody's happy. That's really what it's about.
So this academy is teaching a global business, not just United States based.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, right now I have a student from Latvia. I've taught people in Singapore, in the UK, and I myself have traveled around, you know, different countries to train and teach about matchmaking. I mean, it's a huge thing, and there's a loneliness epidemic worldwide. It's not just the US. A lot of low marriage rates, low birth rates. I mean, it's like the population is about to disappear.
Yeah. It's like a wake up, where did everybody go?
Yeah.
I love that as a global business. It's so powerful. Honestly, you just increased your lead gen by 1 billion. Just doing that, thinking about, you know, to 2 or 3 countries. And with this online, we can do a lot of this stuff now online. I want to jump into your podcast. I was so blessed to be on your podcast. Why don't you talk about, because I think it's unique and awesome what you're doing with that.
Thank you so much. I wanted to start a podcast for 5 years now, but I was like, okay, I have to do this now more than ever, because I want to educate people about what matchmaking is, what it's not, and letting people know that this is a viable career that they can have. And the beauty today, when you talk about global and international, is that a lot of people are portable in that they can work from anywhere as long as they have an internet connection. So people are more open to meeting their ideal match, even if they're in a different country or a different state. And so it's just a beautiful thing. So a lot of what we'll be talking about on the podcast is business, psychology, lifestyles, so many interesting people that I've already interviewed, that it's, you know, I hope people will tune in, and the hope is that aspiring experienced matchmakers will join, and their clients, which means everybody. So it should be fun, and I was so blessed to have you on, and you're amazing. So that was a lot of fun.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast.
The Matchmaker Mentor Podcast. Look it up. I'll have the links in the description as well. We're coming to the end here, and I've got to say, you've got to love a woman, and man too, but in this case, she's a woman, is the sign behind her. You on the podcast, when you just listen to this, she's got a sign that says, everyone deserves to love and be loved. If you don't agree with that, then we need to have you talk to somebody, because that is the nature of humans, the bare nature. And I love that. And that's what really exemplifies you. So let's have a little fun. I like a little improv. So I just reserved a table at a restaurant for you to have dinner. Table of 4, you're going to sit in one of the chairs. In the other 3 chairs, who would you invite dead or alive? Why would you invite them? And what food would you order for the table?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. Well, it's easy. The food selection is easy. I'm a pescatarian, so it would have to be fish, vegetables. Who would I invite? Well, I definitely have to have my best friend there, which is my husband always, because he's amazing. Um, Gosh, the dead or alive thing just opened up a whole world. I love talking about dating and relationships and stuff like that. And there was a very famous not philanthropist, anthropologist, Dr. Helen Fisher. And I met her a few times at conferences and stuff when I was the CEO of a school. And I would love to spend some time with her to talk about the evolution of man and all that stuff. I would love to invite Einstein because I'm a sapiosexual, so I love really smart people. That's what attracts me to people, their intelligence. And maybe Tesla.
That's a great group. Holy moly.
I mean, my head would explode, but it would be very interesting.
You die very happy and very smart. That is for sure. Well, Arlene, I'm saying this with all my heart. This has been a blessed show. I want to bring you back for part 2. Audience, I'm doing this in a recording, so when you hear it, get back to me. We're going to bring her back in a couple months because something about matchmaking that she's taught me to make me a better super connector, this falls into business as well. How you matchmaking with people when you meet them. There's so much similarities that we can learn from her. I know people listening either want to be a matchmaker and want to learn more about the Academy or just want to talk to you. How can they connect with you?
Well, I'm on all social media at Arlene Washburn. And then, of course, check out the lovepromastermind.com. It's a Love Pro Mastermind Academy. And you can schedule a call with me from there and we'll let you know if we think you're a good fit or for our school, especially. But I'm excited to bring more people, more practitioners into the industry, people with a good heart, a good servant heart. Because it's all about helping the daters that are struggling out there.
You're a rock star. I'm just going to say that. Thank you again. I'm speechless. I'm rarely speechless, but I am. It's just it's powerful what you feel from this, from her. It's not about Arlene. It's not Arlene's show. It's the world show. How can we make the world better? Little pieces at a time. And here's your call to action at the end of the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Not for what you think. People, hey, our viewers, and that's great. I'm not saying anything against that. But what I've learned over 600 shows is podcast is a gift. And how is that? As you're listening and you hear her say about a potential job, business or dating, and it resonates with somebody a family friend, a cousin, a friend, somebody you met at church, whoever, what I would do, and I know a lot of people are doing with this podcast, and I hope many others, is take the link of Arlene and share, hey, you need to listen to Arlene podcast. Oh my God, she's talking about matchmaking. I think this is a fit for you. They listen and the journey continues and they reach out to Arlene and maybe they go to the Academy, become a matchmaker. Or maybe Arlene gives them a couple tips in dating that helps them. You just gave that person a gift. And as I said, everyone deserves to love and be loved. I think that's one of the ways you can love on people is using these podcasts as gifts. With that being said, me and Arlene want to thank you all for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.